most people know me as Amy, but I go by Emirance. I prefer that. And I do a lot of things. I think, though, based on my Instagram, the main thing I'm known for is I'm a photographer.
Okay.
So I think I'll go by that. I'll go by that for this one.
Okay.
I do photography amongst other things.
Other activities. Okay, definitely. So how do you pronounce your company? I didn't want to butcher it. How do you pronounce it?
My first name or last name?
No, your photography business.
My photography name is Veille. Veille photo. So it's a French word.
Veille.
So the double L's usually in French makes a Y sound.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What does it mean?
Veille, it means waking or evening, depending on the context that you use it in. I prefer to use it as waking because it's a pretty ridiculous reason. No, for me, I use it as waking mainly because I like to think of I like to think of life as in terms of like, there are those that are sleeping and then there are those that are awake, right? Being awakened by ideas, being awakened to new concepts, new ideas, new people and such like that. And so I figured I want to be awake. I want to be someone that's awake. I want to be someone that's aware of things that are shaping our world. And so also because it's part of my middle name. My middle name is Veille. And so I wanted to have my photography name related to a name of mine, but not something you can easily guess. So that I just took that Veille part, which changes the entire meaning of my middle name. But so I stuck to that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a really cool name. So what inspired you to become a photographer?
What inspired me? What inspired me mainly was food. At first, it was food. I love it when food is well prepared and well presented.
Okay.
And then I always thought that it's a shame if someone takes the time to make good food and make it look good on a plate, and then there's no picture taken. And so, so I was 16 or something like that when I still had an iPod, and that's all I used. And then one time my sister challenged me. She said, "Hey, I'd love to see you take more photos of things that go beyond food." And then after I finished high school, I lived in Calgary, and then a friend of mine I actually borrowed my sister's camera, or my friend's mom lent me her camera. I don't remember how it happened, but because you live in Calgary, it's close to the mountains, and then I met few new friends, and then we just go to the mountains, and I did landscape, and then I had a new group of photographer friends where we'd go do different challenges and stuff like that. And then after a year of living in Calgary, I came back to Camrose, and then the landscape life died for me because at the time I couldn't drive or I didn't have a car. And then I just started shooting people. I just started photographing people in 2015, and then for the most part, that's all I do now.
Oh,
yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So was there ever a stage when you had to say, okay, you know what, now I'm turning this hobby into a business, or it just kind of flowed through into a business?
Was there ever a stage? I think yes and no. I think for me it's a thing where it's a business, but I always try to take it in terms of a hobby, because I think that when it becomes a business for me, it becomes less about people and more about the money for the way that my brain is wired. So I think when I realized that I should get better at this hobby so that it can be another way I earn income was around 2016. Yeah, it was around 2016 after I moved back home, and then I took a few portraits of a few friends, and then other people started hitting me up when they started realizing that, oh, I like your work, and then I was like, oh, I can take this a little more seriously. So that's when it really started. But yeah, it's actually very strange to call it a business. Like, it is a business, but in my mind, it's just like, this is something that I do that I love that makes me money.
Yeah, definitely. That's a definitely good way to look at it, right? You never lose your hobby, right?
Exactly.
What kind of services do you offer? Like what
kind of services? Yeah, I offer most things. Right now, my focus is beauty, fashion, editorial related. I really love working with I love working with models one-on-one and working with a whole team of people. That really brings me joy. So that's one of the biggest services that if you were to look at my Instagram, you would see more of that. But I also do families, I also do couples, I also do weddings. So anything related to me being able to have a friendship with you after, I do. I do not do events. I don't do corporate events or anything like that, but things such as wedding, couples photography, models, family, grads, I do that.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So, what kind of challenges have you faced as an entrepreneur?
As an entrepreneur, I think as an entrepreneur whose full-time job is nothing related to what my hobby or business startup is,
Yeah.
the challenges come with knowing how to find a balance. Because there are periods where I get really busy as a photographer, and then my sleep suffers because I can't really quit my full-time job.
That's true.
Right? Because the times where I'm really busy are not as much as the times where I'm not as busy, right? And so the challenges for me, I've noticed that they come with finding a balance and what you say yes to as far as photography and what you say no to as far as photography is related. And then I think also every time you get a no from a potential client, that always kills your spirit. Like, it's never been a no where I'm like, well, I'm never going to do photography again. But after a few times of having no's, I think that just like
it kind of hurts, yeah.
It just puts you down a little bit.
Yeah.
So for me, those would be the challenges. And then I think also challenges would be as I first started up, I didn't really have a good taste of what kind of portraiture I wanted to focus on. I didn't have the knowledge what kind of people I wanted to work with. And so I could say that you end up maybe working with people that you might never actually have wanted to ever meet in your life. But then that's part of your history. And anyway, so there are a lot of there are a lot of things related to this. But for me, the biggest one has been balance. Like, I think that's what I would say. The biggest one is balance, knowing what to take on, knowing when to edit, knowing when I should be sleeping. Yeah, that's it. Finding balance.
Finding balance. That sounds really important. So, if you could go back and start again, what would you tell yourself? What kind of lessons would you tell yourself?
If I could go back and start again, what kind of lessons I tell myself? For me, I would say that, okay, well, honestly, though, my thing is relationships.
Yeah.
My thing is relationships. So I think about a year ago, it hit me that the people I want to work with are the people that I could potentially see myself having relationships that go beyond what photography offers for them, right? And so for me, the biggest thing that I could tell myself is like, Amy, it's not just about the photograph. It's about how that person feels after they've met you. It's about what that person has learned, and it's about what you've learned after you've met that person. Because I think at first I was just shooting for the sake of shooting, instead of shooting with a purpose, instead of shooting to connect with a person, instead of shooting, to create connection with a person. And so I think that would be one big thing that I would tell myself is, hey, relationships with every person you come into contact with, regardless of how long they stay in your life, those matter more than the photographs that you end up taking. And then I would also tell myself that social media is not the end and be all of everything either, because I feel like sometimes as a photographer, if I don't have enough work or I don't feel inspired enough and I don't have a consistent posting on Instagram, I'm like, oh no, I'm losing following or this or that.
Yeah.
But I'll tell myself to chill out on my whole social media game right then and there, because that stressed me out. I would post photos I didn't really care for, or I would even edit photos in a style that just was popular, so and so, into the likes. So those are the two big things that I'll tell myself. You stay true to your art, stay true to your artistry, and then also value people more than you value the photographs, because that ultimately is what makes it or breaks it for any business, I think. If it's just about the money, if it's just about the art that you produce, that will sustain you for long. But if you come out of it not caring for that person you were working with more than you did before you met them, to me that's a struggle. So that's one thing I've really learned. Yeah.
Okay. That's definitely a good lesson. So I'm guessing that's the same advice you would give to someone who's looking to start out on their photography business?
Yeah, the greatest advice I would say would, because I'm a self-taught photographer. I never went to school for it. I've had like 2 mentor sessions that were never really formal at all. It was more like me job shadowing at the 2 other photographers doing one of their grad sessions and a wedding. So for me, I would say, depending on your background with photography, if you're being self-taught or just a camera and you don't know what you're doing, watch videos. like, and ask lots of questions. There are a lot of photographers out there that have tutorials out and stuff like that. And if you can't afford to pay for what other photographers have out there are also enough photographers out there that will answer your questions for free. So if you're just like, hey, I'm really struggling with this concept, can you help me figure this out? I know for me, I'll be like, hey, yeah, I can help you figure it out if I also understand it, kind of thing. So I think never stop challenging yourself. Never stop seeking for ways you can get better as a beginner. And then also as a beginner, be very careful to not let yourself get trapped in that whole show of social media. Because a lot of us, sometimes we compare our following to our success or our artistry even. And I don't think that those always correlate. You know, I know a lot of good photographers that have very few followers on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, but their work is outstanding. And then I know a few others who follow the hype, who follow the trendy ways of shooting and this and this and this and this and this, who are very, very successful. And neither one is worse than the other. But to me, I'm just saying that find your style. And I think when you start off, it takes a long time to figure out what your style is, but never settle. Do not shoot like the other photographer. Do not shoot like that person. Shoot like how you would shoot it, right? So stay true to yourself. What did I say there? Social media is a hoax. Stay true to yourself, and relationships with people really matter. And never stop learning. That's the big thing. I think a lot of us become like, oh, I've mastered this aspect of photography, therefore there's no more learning to do. No. Art goes on all the time.
Oh, it's going on, evolving. Definitely true. So when you talk about social media, this kind of brings me to my next question. So marketing, how do you market yourself?
How do I market myself? There's been a few times where in the past I really wanted to target couples and maybe like potential wedding clients. So what I used to do via Facebook and a few times on Instagram as well would be promotions, so that, like, you know, when you're scrolling through and you see a feed of someone you don't follow and then it says sponsored. I used to do that, but honestly my biggest means of marketing has been through the people that I've worked with. Just get my things, they repost it, and then hashtag on Instagram. That has really helped me. And then also I have a website. So you see on your website really matters, right? Because you want to be able to be found if there's like older couples that want to work with you and they don't know how to work the Instagram machine, as they call it. They want to be able to find you on Google, because that's the basic thing that they know about the internet, right? So for me, it's been word of mouth for the most part. It's been, making connections with people that I work with that speak for me, and my art speaks for me as well. And then staying on top of my website, which in the past few months it's been hard. But when you have one, you should.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my last question that I have for you. So, what is the range of the startup cost to be a photographer?
Oh my gosh, every photographer has such different prices. Like, you mean like what you charge, what a photographer charges?
No, so just to get the business going. So marketing, money for marketing, for buying
money for marketing
and all those things.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Honestly though, I think from when I first started, this number murders me. I hope my dad doesn't listen to this. But I think from when I first started up until right now, because usually when I buy my gear, I also buy it secondhand. I haven't bought a brand new gear unless it's been like batteries or hard drives and stuff like that. So I think for right now, we're looking at around $8,000 that I've spent entirely on my. And some photographers will look at me and be like, "Oh, that's how much my lens cost, just the lens, right?" But yeah. So for me, it's like you buy the gear, and then depending on how hardcore you want to go, You'll spend a lot of time promoting yourself on social media, which will cost a lot of money, depending on how hard you want to go on it. And then also things such as, I think it's actually more than $8,000 now, because monthly website payments, subscriptions to that, and then also having the editing software. I have Lightroom and I have Photoshop and all of that. And that it's not entirely cheap, right? So actually $8,000 is way cheaper than what it actually has been ever since I started. But you're looking like, if you only have like, but also $8,000, that's for me because I started like 5 years ago up until now. So I don't know. I don't really know how to range it out, because when I first started, I just bought Lightroom 4, and that was like about $130. And then my camera wasn't that expensive, and I didn't. So if you have a grand, you can get started really well. If you have a grand and ambition and the desire to learn, you can get started really well. Because I also did not make my website right away. I waited about a year or two to learn what my style was and get myself used to me as a photographer. And then I was like, oh, okay, if people really want this, I'll make it accessible for them to see my work and for them to contact me. So if you have a grand, you're very good to go. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. So last question. I know I said that last time, but what's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step for you as a photographer?
The next step for me as a photographer this year, I'm looking at a lot of teamwork. To me, that's the next step. I want to be able to meet other people within the industry that aren't necessarily photographers or models, you know? Because I think like I've met a lot of that. I want to meet more stylists. I want to meet more makeup artists. I want to meet more designers. So for me, my next step is more on the networking side of things versus the always shooting side of things. Once again, because relationships really matter to me. So I want to be able to understand, I want to
on our Instagram page, and then you guys, if you
have a deeper understanding of all that it takes to create an amazing photograph, where it wasn't just me as a photographer, as far as beauty goes, because I think there are ways to do that well with just you. But as far as beauty and editorial goes, my next step is expanding my team and expanding my go beyond model photographer relationship.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on ProKonnect today. I really had fun learning more about Veille Photo, right?
Yeah, you said it right. Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. Wish you all the best, and hopefully we'll work